Hello fellow gamers and welcome to another week of releases with the Gaming Frontier. My name's Chase.
And I'm Chris.
And here is our summary of releases for the 4th week of March 2016.
Kicking it off on March 22nd, we'll see the release of episodic action-adventure stealth game Republic arrive on PS4. This will see a full remaster of the game for PS4, as well as the release of the final episode for all other platforms. We will also be seeing a remaster for Double Fine's point-and-click adventure game, Day of the Tentacle. This is coming out 23 years after the game's initial release and will be available on Windows, OS X, PS4 and PS Vita. And finally, be ready to set up your traps and send in your minions for some bloody destruction, as 101 Ways to Die is coming to PC and a day later on PS4. Moving on to the 23rd of March, we see co-op alien shooter Alienation coming to PS4 from developers Housemarque. And on the same day, acquires Way of the Samurai 3, originally released for consoles in 2009, will see its arrival on PC.
On March 24th, we'll see Samaros 3, the new game from the guys behind Machinarium, be released in Europe and America. More episodic gaming now, as the first episode of The Descendant, Gaming Corp's post-apocalyptic adventure game, makes its landing on PC. Racing fans will finally be able to get their hands on Trackmania Turbo, which will be releasing on Xbox One, PS4 and PC. Slain, a combat puzzle game brought to you by Digerati Distribution, will also be making its way to PC. Another title coming to the PC now, as Total War Battles Kingdom becomes the new addition to the Total War series. This title will also be launching for OS X, Android and all Apple devices. And finally, 3DS owners will get a chance to hack and slash their way through a content-filled Hyrule Warriors Legends. To cap off the week, on the 25th of March, Axis has us defend our bases against gigantic threats to humanity in Ages of Earth Proto-Novus Assault, available on PS4, PS3 and PS Vita. And with that, concludes our summary of releases for this week.
My top pick for this week is going to be something a little bit different. I'm going to be looking at a handheld title in the form of Hyrule Warriors Legends. This is a re-release of the 2014 Wii U game Hyrule Warriors, and is a fusion of the Legend of Zelda characters and universe with the gameplay and action of a Dynasty Warriors game. So this might be a bit of a shock for you, but I've never actually played a Dynasty Warriors game.
Are you serious? Koei Tecmo have been pushing these games out for the past decade, and yet this is the only Warriors games you play?
Yeah, I've never honestly touched a game. The closest I came was Kessen, so when I saw this pop up in the Nintendo Wii shop for the demo, I thought, you know what, I might give this one a go, see what it's like. And I quite enjoyed it. It kind of kept me entertained for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean with the Warriors games, the format of the game is that you're one badass fighting against hundreds upon hundreds of enemies, and as I said, I'm quite happy that you liked it, because I've been a devout follower of the series since the PS2 days, so yeah, I'm quite glad that you liked the game.
Yeah, I think it's something about having all those enemies in at the same time, and still seeing the Zelda side of it, the characters, the magic, the hacking and the slashing. It's all good fun. It really did keep me hooked. I had a couple goes through the demo when it released last week, and I had another little go the other day as well, and it's still got it, it's got its hooks in me, I think.
No, definitely. It's a real... those sort of games are a real stress reliever, honestly. When you're one badass sat in the middle of hundreds of enemies, yeah, and you can take out all of them in one move, yeah, that's sort of my sort of game as well. But, yeah, I mean, of all the Warrior games that you could have picked, you picked the one that has a Zelda skin on it. We both know you're not really a huge fan of the Zelda series.
Yeah, again, you've caught me out. I'll hold my hands up. I've only ever really played Ocarina of Time, so it was quite a surprise to me as well, to be honest. But I think, the more slower pace of the older Zelda titles and the puzzling kind of lost my interest in them after a while. But the action-heavy style of this game, it has really kept me entertained. So we're going to be having some good stuff to look forward to, as we're getting more goodies in this version in the form of new characters and a couple of missions based on Wind Waker game. Now in terms of characters, they're going to be adding, I believe, Tetra, King of Hyrule, Toon Link, Skull Kid, and I believe Linkle, and that'll be her debut in The Legend of Zelda, as far as I'm aware.
No, yeah, the female Link. I think all Zelda fans have been waiting for a long time for this character as well. But something else that really interested me about the release of this game was that if you own both the Wii U version of the game and Hyrule Warriors Legends, the 3DS version, you get all these new characters in your Wii U version. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good that they've done that.
I mean, it's nice of them to do that, especially if you're owning the Wii U version and you're thinking of picking this up just to have some hack and slash action on the go, that you're going to be able to transfer all those characters over for free. You can't really argue with that. But one thing I actually forgot to mention, as well as the new characters, there's also going to be a new mode called My Fairy, which I believe it lets you raise your own fairy so that you can use them in battle. Now, I'm not sure how they're going to work, but it's a nice little addition there, something to keep you busy.
No, I read about that actually. A lot of the pre-order incentives were getting new clothes for this fairy, so
Oh, right.
it looks quite similar to almost like a dress 'em up sort of game, but we'll see how that goes really. But the only thing that I'm sort of wondering is whether they have the original modes from the Wii U version still in the game.
Well, they are and they aren't. You've still got Endless Mode and you've still got Legends Mode. I believe they're the two big hitters from the Wii U version. But it'll be good to see what new content, along with these new characters, that will be added to the game. Now, unfortunately, as mentioned before, we will be losing some things on the 3DS version. These will be Challenge Mode, and as a result of that, we're going to be losing Ganon and the Giant Cuckoo that I think were bosses in there, but there's still plenty of stuff to keep you busy anyway. One thing that I did also pick up when I was reading about the game is that if you don't own a new 3DS, the performance of the game may be impacted on the old 3DS hardware.
Yeah, this was really a main concern of mine when I picked up the demo, but to be honest, if the new 3DS can handle this fine, a lot of people aren't going to be too fussed, I guess, because most people will have the new 3DS. But if you are on the old 3DS, I'd definitely be a bit more cautious when picking up this title, as the frames have been said to tank to about single digits actually. So make sure you've got the new 3DS and not the old 3DS when you pick this up.
So that's my top pick for the week, Hyrule Warriors Legends. It'll be releasing on Nintendo 3DS on the 24th of March.
With the number of big AAA releases these past few weeks, I figured I'd also go for something a little different. My top pick this week is Wolfbrew Games' Gore-Splattered Slain, a combat puzzler with a heavy emphasis on the heavy metal themes and an equally as metal soundtrack. With its stunning visuals, the game pulls some similarities to the old 2D Castlevania games, albeit with a touch more gore. So much of the game, based on the Steam trailers that I've seen, looks like your standard hack and slash 2D platformer. The developers have mentioned that there are 3 different weapons, which are effective against 3 different groups of enemies. So we'll have to see what sort of variety of enemies they bring at us. I mean, as well as these weapons, we can also see that the game offers the player spells, so that they have methods to confront the enemies that are thrown at them.
I've been having a look at the Steam trailers myself earlier today, and I've definitely got to say I agree, first of all, with the Castlevania vibes that you get. I was definitely feeling that watching the trailers. Very reminiscent of those days playing Castlevania games on the Game Boy Advance, and that was not just in terms of the gameplay, it ranges from the weapons and the enemies involved in those.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, it's not just the enemies and the weapons, really. Looking at the animations, they look very, very similar. But, you know, that's not exactly a bad thing. I loved the Castlevania games as a kid, you know, on the NES, on the SNES. Even, on the Game Boy Advance, you know, Circle of the Moon was, well,
yeah,
one of my favourites probably. So this game has a good platform to work off, with the foundations being laid by Castlevania. They sort of bring a bit more with how the game looks as well, so it's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I remember playing those games myself back on the Game Boy Advance and the DS. I think the most recent one I remember is Aria of Sorrow, I think it was. But one of the things that we haven't really seen from the trailers, and that Castlevania is kind of really known for, is the difficult bosses, really. I'm looking forward to see how they're going to handle that.
Yeah, I mean, in the older Castlevania games, the levels were always quite difficult, but the bosses probably even more so. So we'll have to see how Slain sort of brings their bosses to the table, to be honest, because we've got to see how disgusting and grotesque they make them. Judging from the looks of this game, it's going to be pretty bloody. So I've always been a big fan of games that use the 16-bit style and try to take it to another level, and I think with Slain, they really have gone all out with the gore aspect of the game. They really put some effort into things dying, so from the blood, the guts, you've got all your different death animations as well. It's just visually pleasing when you see something die.
Oh yeah, definitely. The trailers did highlight that quite strongly. They were dead into using the gore and the blood and the guts and all that to really emphasise those visuals, but for me, what I took away from the trailers really is the rest of this 16-bit art style, and to be quite honest, it's getting a little bit tiring to see.
Yeah, I guess I see what you mean, especially with the influx of them over the past few years when indie has been on the rise. But I think with Slain, the artists really have put in some effort to make the game's visuals different, and I think they've achieved that, to be honest, with the impressive work that they've done on the gore of the game. When you kill something, they explode in all sorts of bits, and to do that with pixel art is pretty impressive.
I guess I can see what you mean with just the general aesthetic of the game being something a bit more darker, a bit more adult, I guess, in a way than the Castlevania games. They were pretty gruesome themselves, but not on the level that Slain is. So I can see what you mean with the aesthetic of the gore really setting it apart from the other 16-bit titles, 16-bit style titles that are out there.
Yeah, and I think the gore definitely matches up with how the game's really presented, with the soundtrack, with the gameplay, the enemies, the main character, I guess. The long hair, being able to swing that head in like head-banging fashion it's just perfect. It really is. It's a good mould of all these sort of things that are heavy metal. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to this game. And Slain will be coming to PC on the 24th of March, so keep an eye out for that one. So my import pick this week is Dead or Alive.
Alright then folks, that's a wrap on the releases for this week. And as always, if there are any titles we've missed, we'll be covering them on our Facebook/TGFrontier, or giving a quick shout out on our Twitter @TGFrontier, so be sure to keep your eye on those. Now if you've noticed something we may have missed, do let us know in the comments and we'll include it in the write-up on our blog. And if you like what we're doing, be sure to give us a like and a subscribe for future updates. And if you have any comments on how we can improve, or the format of the show, do leave us a message below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.